Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's August 14th. These are your headlines. I think the biggest headline of the week is the fact that we're starting to hear some false albacore reports. Maybe a close second is the fact that the recreational bluefin tuna fishery closed down, which has got a lot of long faces on the marina docks this week. Another thing that's happening is we're seeing a lot of big bluefish south of Boston. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we got a bunch of news items for you guys this week. The first thing is we'll just talk about that bluefin tuna closer. We had a really great season up until when it closed on Tuesday of this week on August 11th. And I got a lot of long faces on the marina docks out there this week, and the best advice I can give you is just keep your head up and just keep your eye on the prize and just move on to some other species, because we are quickly moving toward the fall run and some of the best fishing we're going to see of the year. And the bluefin tuna fishery is not going to reopen until 2026, so you'll have to wait till then to get your fix. Another thing, ASMFC met last week and talked about a whole bunch of different things, but the main thing, or maybe the main thing that most of the viewers are going to be interested in, is some decisions they made regarding striped bass. The main thing is there was a whole bunch of different options on the board, because I think most people that are into striped bass know by now that the ASMFC set a rebuild goal back in 2019, a 10-year plan to try to rebuild the stock from where it was to a historic high level. If they failed at that, they're going to have to take some much more drastic actions. So it's sort of a rule that they made for themselves. And as it stands right now, with only 4 years until 2029, when that trigger will be sort of tripped, we have less than a 50% chance of achieving it, even with the stringent regulations that we are fishing under now. So there were a whole bunch of different options on the board, and there were some that had no harvest and some that had no target. They took the no target ones off the board. So I interpret that as meaning that catch and release fishing will still be on the table throughout those closed seasons. But it looks like we're going to have 41 days of season that's closed to striped bass harvest next year. So there's still a lot of deliberation to take place, and there's going to be public comment periods that look like they're going to, or public comment meetings, which look like they're going to start up later this month. So keep your eye on the ASMFC's social media, and also keep an eye right here on this video, because we will be coming to you with more details as they become available on that. Another thing that's going on is Pure Fishing is on the road this week. They're going to hit a couple local tackle shops. They're going to be at Watch Hill Outfitters on Friday, pretty much the entire day from 10 to 6 p.m. And then they're going to be at Red Top on Saturday, pretty much the same hours, 10 a.m. to close. And what that's going to be is you're going to have the reps from Penn, you're going to have the reps from Van Staal there. They're going to have an array of all the different reels and other goodies that they offer. They're going to be giving away some free swag. You can test out these reels, find the right one for you, and you get to talk to the reps about what makes them so great. This is a unique opportunity. You don't always get this kind of an opportunity to talk to the actual experts who know everything about these products. And if you're in the market for a new reel, or you just want to check out some high-end stuff, I would highly recommend heading over to Watch Hill Outfitters or Red Top this week. You're gonna learn a lot when you do that. The next thing is we're going to check in with our tournaments, and we'll check in with what's going on in the Coastal Kayak Clash and the Dreamboat Challenge.
There were no new entries in this week's Dreamboat Challenge. The leaderboard stands at Rashawn Williams in first place with 17 points, Thomas Luciano second with 16 points, Jeffrey Harrison taking third with 15 points. There were no new entries in the Coastal Kayak Clash. Dustin Stevens is in first with 9 points, Rotha Nong has 6 points, and Tom Howard has 5 points.
Now let's check in with Jenni Ackerman and hear a little bit about what's going on in her latest installment of Open Boat.
Hey guys, want to see what I'm hooked up in on this week's Open Boat? Well, you're going to have to stay tuned until Sunday at 6 p.m. to see what I catch. And it's not just what I catch, but how I catch it. We're showcasing what I use reel-wise and lure-wise, and maybe, if we get some keepers, what I'm using to fillet fish with. So stay tuned Sunday at 6 p.m. for this week's Open Boat. It is action-packed for you guys. I'll catch you guys then.
And the last thing, of course, is the giveaway. We are closing in on giving away these custom Super Strike poppers that were made for my buddy Don Robertson, who passed away back in April. And this is just sort of my way of commemorating a great guy and a great fisherman. So the way to win them is very simple. You have to go fishing. You have to take a great fishing photo that exemplifies New England fishing. So capture a nice scene like this one that we see behind me here. Have the angler holding the fish and give me all the details, like where it was caught, who caught it, how big it was, what it was caught on, all that stuff. Send it to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text them to the number on the screen and just give me everything, give me all the details, and let me know you want to be in the contest. That's very important. And if you're going to email it to me, definitely put contest or giveaway in the subject line just to make it easy for me to sort it out from all the other emails I get every day. This one's going to wrap up on August 27th. That's when we're going to pick the winner. So you've got about 2 weeks to catch that winning fish. We have 3 real contenders right now. And, you know, I'm hoping we're going to see a few more, but we've seen a lot of great photos coming in the interim. And I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So send those in to me and we'll see who wins. Moving over into the reports now, we'll start things off up in Maine. Most of what I'm hearing up in Maine is just good striped bass fishing. A lot of inshore action right now, outside the rivers, along the beaches. I know Courtney Roberts had a really nice photo that she posted this week of a solid striped bass she caught. And a lot of boat guys posting stuff up and just showing off the great fishery that they have up there. It's, you know, it's sort of perfect. It's you got much cooler water up there. You got really big tides. You got a lot of movement, and you have lots of big bait up in that area. You got harbor pollock, you got mackerel, you've got big sand eels. Sometimes you've got pogies. You got all kinds of bait up there, and it really fuels a great summer fishery that isn't. You know, not a lot of people are up there taking advantage of it. So if you're striking out in your local waters, or if you're from the area, I would highly recommend heading to the Maine coast. Things are looking good up there right now. Dropping down into Massachusetts, similar things. You know, we're hearing a lot of nice striped bass action around Cape Ann area, and some of the boats that head offshore from there, like Beauport Fishing Adventures, are getting some really great bottom fishing action out there on things like pollock and haddock and cusk and redfish and, you know, a whole bunch of other bottom species. And then again, inshore, the striped bass fishing has been very good along that stretch. Dropping down into the Boston Harbor area, there's been some really big striped bass inside of Boston Harbor. Fish up into the 40-pound class with a lot of 20-pound fish in the mix. Also, we're hearing about some really big bluefish showing up a little bit more south of Boston, but starting to leak into the harbor area as well, or into the islands area as well. But a lot of these bigger bluefish have been basically from South Boston all the way down to Plymouth. Some of these fish are up into the mid-teens, and there's been some big striped bass in that area as well, hanging out on some of the ledges. And the surf guys have been getting in on the action as well, places like Egypt Beach and 3rd and 4th Cliff and places like that. So very good striped bass activity and very good big bluefish activity along that stretch. Crossing the canal out onto the Cape, the main thing that I was hearing about this week is just a strong increase in striped bass action from the beaches, from the outer beaches. Some much bigger fish being caught, a lot better numbers all of a sudden. So something pushed these fish inshore, or a new movement of fish came in, whatever it was. The bite's been very good. Needlefish have been crushing it. Unweighted soft plastics have also been crushing it. So these fish are probably feeding on sand eels, and throwing anything that has that slender profile is making it happen out there right now. Moving down into the Monomoy area, it sounds like that bite has slowed down a little bit. Still plenty of fish in the area, just maybe a little slower than it was last week. Maybe some of those fish are the ones that moved up onto the outer beaches, hard to say. Still some big bluefish in that area as well. Out toward Nantucket, still hearing about good fluke fishing, just not as many really big fish. So plenty of keepers being caught. Guys are filling limits. It's just not those June and early July major doormats, or at least not in the numbers that we were seeing at that time. Still some big fish out there, just not quite as many. Fluke fishing inside Nantucket Sound has been pretty solid as well, especially fishing some of those deeper holes. Guys are finding some fish behind some of the deeper rips as well. And this is one of the places where we heard a couple of albie reports over the last 5 days or so, which is really exciting stuff. Heard about one caught from shore, one caught from a boat so far. And I would imagine that, today, this is Thursday as I'm shooting, we got a lot of wind, we got sort of a gray sky out here. And if I had to guess, I would say that there's a good possibility that this weather might kind of kick things into gear out there. So keep your eye on the Nantucket Sound area because things could pop off at any time. There are still some bonito around the vineyards, seem to be very scattered. Best striped bass action in that area has been more up along the Elizabeth Islands, where guys going along the rocks casting eels from the boat into the shallow waters in low light periods have been doing pretty well. In the eastern part of Buzzards Bay, I've heard of a couple of really nice stripers that were sort of caught randomly. But no consistency to any kind of a bite there, striper-wise. Just a few better fish in the mix, so it might be worth poking around if you live in the area. Sea bass has been decent out there. Still seeing some nice fluke coming up, more toward the canal itself. Some larger fluke being taken out of there. And then up inside the canal, things are this has been kind of a slow, low, just an off year overall. And that's continued this week. There's plenty of bait in the canal. There's a lot of mackerel around, a lot of other bait fish species as well. But just not a lot of topwater action, really not hearing about a lot of guys jigging up any fish either. The main method that's been getting it done for the last month at least has been chunking. So, guys either procuring their own bait, catching some mackerel, or buying some bait at a local tackle shop like Red Top or Mako's or Canal Bait, and going out there and just fishing the slow tides with a chunk on the bottom, and they're finding some decent fish, even some fish up into the 30-pound class. Historically, this particular set of breaking tides, which is pretty much beginning right now, is underway right now, I should say. Is typically a very good one, and I guess we'll just have to see next week if it pops off. But canal's been on the slower side and has continued again this week. Although one thing I almost forgot to say, there have been bonito charging in and out of the canal, which has provided some, just a little bit of a different kind of interest to the canal guys fishing out that way right now. In western Buzzards Bay, we've seen some surprising numbers of summertime tog being caught and some pretty nice fish as well. Sea bass has been good, but guys are really weeding through a lot of shorts to find the keepers, although I have to say it does seem like that western half of Buzzards Bay might be one of the better places in the entire region to find some keeper sea bass, with a lower keeper ratio, if you will. And then striped bass fishing has been good. A lot of guys have been doing well on tube and worm, specifically trolling by structure. I have not seen any really big fish, like fish up to like 25 pounds, and more, sort of airing toward the average of like 30 inches to maybe 16 pounds, something like that. But there's a decent amount of striped bass in the area, and that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week. Now let's check in with our field correspondents.
What's up, guys? Kevin checking in with the weekly report. Great news for the island. Those pipe-in plovers are finally done. So all the lots are open, and starting Friday, you can buy night passes for the weekend, so you can start fishing. You can buy them at the gate when the gatekeeper's there, or by lot one by the bathrooms. There's a automatic kiosk that you can buy it at too, which is a great feature because of the guys at work that can't make it when the gatekeeper is there, right? So fishing is starting to pick back up. There's been some rumors of some bluefish getting picked up up front. Here's a picture of James Jukes on a vacation visit up north, catching his striped bass. There's still some stripers around. You gotta work for them, but this is the time of the year where slowly you're gonna see different types of bait start to funnel out into the surf, and then occasionally mackerel will push in, maybe like last year. And then in that school of mackerel, there's bonito. I mean, it's rare up north of the Cape But we do get bonito sometimes, mostly juveniles, but sometimes we'll get a large one mixed in. And then freshwater fishing is great. Guys are catching pike, catfish. I'll be attaching some pictures here. And fishing this is the time of year. Fall run's kicking off. You know, it's August now. It's hot, but I mean, the nighttime is the right time. Go out there and sling some meals. See you next week.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with another report. Another week in the books, and Boston's still going strong. In the morning, seems like we're getting our best trips first thing in the morning. That afternoon bite slows down quite a bit. There's still plenty of fish to be had, but you really got to put your work in. The morning bite, if you can get out there and get some live pogies, there's a lot of pogies in the area. If you're decent with a cast net, or you can snag some live pogies, somewhere beneath that school of pogies is a huge school of bass. So get your pogie, throw them on a circle hook, drop them down to the bottom. You'll catch some good fish. As far as the afternoon, we've been having more of a soft plastic reaction strike type of bite. You know, some unweighted sluggos or eels, some twitch eels. You know, you just get them on top of the water, unweighted, just give them the twitch and they're dancing around. That seems to be doing the best in the afternoon. Or if you can, you know, get a live pogie up on the top of the water and get a reaction strike out of them, that seems to be, you know, the key for the afternoon bite. If you can't find live bait, you know, you can always go with the tried and true Massacre and Mojo combo. You take your umbrella rig, you put a 4 or a 6 ounce Mojo on the back of it, and troll that, you know, through the school of bass, and you're pretty much guaranteed. Yeah, fishing's still really, really good. A lot of the outer islands holding fish, and beneath the pogie schools there's good schools of fish. Offshore report's still doing well. We limited out on haddock a couple of trips last week. There's been some good pollock in the mix. There's been some cusk. So the offshore trips are doing well. Inshore even better. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. Stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
Crossing over into Rhode Island, I got a lot of long faces on the marina docks in Rhode Island, because a lot of the tuna action, a lot of the guys shoving off for tuna all these last several weeks have been leaving from Rhode Island. And, you know, again, a lot of long faces, but there's good news, because we have a lot of great fishing going on in Rhode Island, and you don't have to go so far, you don't have to burn so much gas. So one of the main things is the striped bass fishing has been really good in the eastern half of the state, say from like Narragansett all the way out to Portsmouth area. That whole stretch has had a lot of striped bass on it. I've been out there on the kayak a few days this week and gotten in on some pretty good action. These fish are mostly not giant fish. I would say the average bracket is like 36 to 41 inches, something like that. But the bite's been good, and you're finding action a lot of different ways. You can do it with like a soft plastic eel, which is what I was doing a lot of my damage on. Just throwing it on a weighted swim bait hook and just sort of drifting along with the tide, just keeping it really deep, and you know, getting a lot of action on that. When the sun would, you know, start to illuminate the situation, there was a short window of top water action, which, you know, could be pretty intense. Some days it was pretty intense. And then when things started to, you know, get brighter, the tube and worm was getting it done. And so that's sort of the sequence of events of how you want to take on that striped bass fishery that's happening in that area right now. Also good bottom fishing in that same area, whether you want to target scup, whether you want to target sea bass, although the sea bass is probably the toughest to find keepers. There's been some scattered fluke in the area, even some fish up into the almost mid 20-inch class coming out of there. And then the togging has been surprisingly good. Some of the better togging right now has been out a little deeper, say like 45 to 70 feet of water. But by and large, just very good fishing across that entire part of the state. Moving down into sort of the central part of Rhode Island, so, with a sort of the crosshairs on Point Judith and the Harbor of Refuge, there's been a lot of bonito around in that area for about a week now. These fish are on the smaller side, 2 to 4 pounds, something like that. And then just today, we got news of some albies showing up at Black Point. Now, this is unsubstantiated, unconfirmed. I have not seen any photos of these fish. But the report came from a reliable source, and I thought it was worth passing on to you guys. It does sound like there at least one pod of albies showed up in the Narragansett area, and that's sort of going to signal the beginning of the mayhem, I would have to say. So get your albie snacks and your epoxy jigs ready, because things are about to get crazy. Looking out toward Block Island, the shark situation has been an issue, and I forgot to mention that when I was talking about the whole Newport thing, because I actually had a fish bitten in half right at the kayak, and I hooked and landed a 5-foot class brown shark on a soft plastic eel. So that was pretty exciting. That was 15 minutes of crazy fighting and being towed around like I weighed nothing. But so the sharks have been a problem there. They've also been a problem out at Block Island. So guys bass fishing out at Block are having a lot of nuisance shark activity. Some fish being, severed like that one that I caught, and having to move around so that so that they're not just putting these stripers repeatedly in danger. There's been some bluefish out around North Rip, and have heard the fluke action has been getting a little bit better again out around Block Island. So that might make it worth the ride, heading across to Block to do a little bit of bottom fishing. Along the South County beaches, definitely some bonito in that area. I was talking to my buddy Larry Thompson. He had some bones. He had a few tog. He had a couple of keeper sea bass. And he said there's been some striped bass around. Talking to the local shops, we've also been hearing about some guys fishing off the beaches at night and catching some brown sharks, including some pretty impressive ones. Hard to say whether these were just caught on eels intended for striped bass or if these guys are targeting them. It's sort of a gray area with brown sharks being protected, but the rules kind of state that they just need to be released in the water, if they're caught by accident. So the shark situation is really something right now in Rhode Island and in Connecticut as well. And then some really good striped bass fishing fires up again, basically from Watch Hill out to Napatree and then across to Fishers. And that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Let's check in now with our field correspondents from Rhode Island.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, guys, quick report for the East Bay area, a little bit of Mount Hope Bay, some kind of river stuff this week, too. Starting Barrington, Warren rivers. I'll tell you, the skipjacks are getting a little bit bigger up inside the Warren and Barrington rivers. We've got like 5-6 inch little bluefish that are swimming around, just terrorizing bait right now. And I'll tell you, if you've thrown a small soft plastic out there, they're just going to bite the tail off of it. So stick to your epoxies, your cast masters, and anything metal or tin, even the little plug lures that you just drag along. Those are working great too for the guys that are catching them. And don't forget, you can take 3 per day on those bluefish. Any size bluefish is 3 per day. Moving out into the bay towards Cold State Park, the bites really slow down inside the bay with the chunking. My friend Frankie's been chunking out there too. He heard some good stuff, but couldn't connect on anything. The only thing you're catching right now is skates out there, and did catch a fluke on a chunk of mackerel out front. A little small guy, but I'll tell you, there's some predator fish out there. There's a lot of bait fish. There's a lot of birds working inside the bay, getting around Papa Squash and into Mount Hope Bay underneath the Mount Hope Bridge. I was able to get out and have a couple of trips this week, and I'll tell you, I went to my spots. I'm looking for fluke, and we got our first keeper fluke underneath Mount Hope Bridge, right at the mouth of Bristol Harbor there. We caught several fluke, actually. Some nice ones, and we were able to catch a nice 20-incher out of there, which is a good sign. It's just saying that some of those bigger fish are moving inside the bay, and might be worth you guys making a stop there before you head all the way out into the ocean which I also did, but I just wanted to see what was going on inside the bay. Sakana River is loaded with birds, loaded with bait. Anytime now, I just have a feeling we're going to see some hardtails get up inside of there, just due to the fact that there's a lot of bait inside that Sakana River. More on the Portsmouth side, Middletown side, headed up. I mean, some days I'll see it in that shallow water on the Tiverton side, but if you stay on the deeper water side, that's where you're going to see all that bait towards the Broken Bridge there. But I got to tell you, things are starting to heat up. The tog bite over there is actually pretty good, I heard. And moving into further Maho Bay towards Coles River, lots of bait over there too. There's been a lot of draggers out there every morning, dragging up some pogies. So if you can get behind that wash, you might be able to hook up with a bass or two. My friend John, I saw him out there, and he was connected. I took a couple of casts early in the morning when the boats were out there. I didn't get anything, but he did connect with a couple of small bass that are swimming around Maho Bay. So that's what we got from the East Bay this week, guys. Tight lines. We'll catch you next week.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
What's up, my fellow fish heads? What's going on, Dave? Checking back in with you guys this week. Well, I just have a really bad tuna bug, and the only way to fix that is just to keep going tuna fishing. The tuna bite has been outstanding, Dave. The jig bite's been the most productive. Actually, I have one in front of me. It's a pink glow UVT jig. That slender profile is awesome and matches the hatch perfectly, and this pink glow stands out awesome in the water column, because let's be honest, 100 feet, that sun's not penetrating 100 feet down. So that tuna can really hone in on that jig and really get bit, and you'll get tight that way. It's a blast. The Ron Z bite's been good. The dead stick Ron Z, the cash and retrieve the Ron Z, that's been working very well. I have them on lighter heads just because I can cast and retrieve them up high in the water column. That's been very productive. The troll bite, if you guys are into trolling, if you have a spread, you will get bit on those. Just kind of play around with colors, play around with area, play around with water temperature as well. Stick around the water temps that you've been getting bit. The popper bite's been good. The Chug Norris Nomad popper's been getting bit. The Rapala Explode popper's been getting bit, and the Mad Mantis Clear and Frostbite's been getting bit. But other than that, Dave, I've been jigging like a madman. I'm jigging till my arms fall off. I'm sore, and it's a good thing to have. It's a good feeling to have. I went out with my buddy Rob Taylor of Newport Sport Fishing Charters yesterday. We got 16 fish on the jig, and then the bite slowed up in the afternoon, and then picked right back up. But on that little lull that we had in between the tides, we did mark a few. We dropped down a jig and picked up one or two. So don't give up when the bite starts to slow down a little bit. You can kind of move around, get out of the fleet, find your own fish, and kind of just work them that way too. So don't be afraid to leave the fleet, because there's a lot of fish outside the fleet a lot. So, but the water's nice and blue. It's nice and clean. Still waiting for yellowfin. We have not seen a yellowfin yet. I've heard rumblings and rumors of yellowfin close. So maybe they are getting closer. The water temperature's there, the water clarity's there, the bait's there, the life's there. It's just only a matter of time, Dave. But I do want to mention one thing. They did close recreational bluefin tuna fishing yesterday, at 11:59. You guys can take part in tagging programs. You guys can go out there and still catch and release them. And it's still a blast, and I'm still going to keep doing it. I would love to tag some fish. I've been tagging. I tagged a couple fish a few years ago. I've actually tagged fish a couple times every year, so it's always a fun time. I love fishery science. I love science and fishing together. It's really interesting. I'm such a nerd, but hey, it's always fun to educate yourself on some, on your fisheries and what's going on. So, but other than that, Dave, I'm gonna go eat some tuna and get back after it. All right, later. See you next week.
Hey guys, it's John Lee, JL Charters, Point Judith, Rhode Island. We've had a busy week of fishing. I'm pretty exhausted. Lots of doubles. Lost my voice, need to shave, but the fishing for the most part has been worth it. a lot of Block Island trips. So we're kind of looking for striped bass, bluefish, a bunch of green bonitas showed up. All of those have been light tackle trips. People are having a blast. The green bonita bluefish area has been alive. Been a lot of shearwaters, been a lot of bait. It just looks alive when you get there, turns, noise, it's great. Then it started showing signs of, you were kind of on the backside of that bite. And sure enough, I went out there today and I couldn't catch a fish. So those bonitas and those blues, they're somewhere, and they'll come back. They'll come back in a different spot, but there's a lot of them. This is a big body of green bonita, and anyway, they're a blast to catch. So I'm hoping that we find them again. The striped bass has been pretty reliable. We're getting fish to 40 pounds using soft plastics and eels. The bottom fishing has been good but grindy. Not every tide is good. It's kind of been the same song all season, at least for me, where you get into a bite, you think you figured it out, and you go back there and try to repeat that, and it never happens. Each tide is different. Each half tide is different. But we're getting some big humphead sea bass. We're getting some fluke. We're getting some scup. I think going forward, I'm going to start going out a little further than I've been fishing and see what happens there. Anyway, I hope all is well. We'll get up with you next.
Hi Dave, Coral here from Sara Charters.
I'm Brandon from BHAG's Baits and Adventures.
With the Rhode Island Fishing Report. So we have reached August now, and you know what they say, they call it the dog days of summer, and the water temperature has warmed up, probably going to be the warmest it's going to be this season, and it kind of slows the fishing down a little bit. I'm not really a fan of August, but we're still getting nice stripers. It's been pretty consistent throughout this whole summer. They are very finicky. They have been kind of for a few weeks. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
they've been kind of finicky. So you can use something one day and it works really well, and then the next day they just don't want that. So but that's just how striper fishing is sometimes. But I have been doing really well on the tube and worm. Of course, getting nice big fish, and there's actually been a lot of keeper sized fish in the mix, which is nice for our guests to take home. The bottom fishing's been okay. The sea bass not great. A lot of shorts, like I said in previous videos, but the fluke fishing has been pretty good. There's still a lot of bait around. There's a lot of small bait in the bay, and I believe there's like pogies out front because I've seen some birds diving and grabbing bigger baits. I haven't seen any schools of them, but there's definitely some bait around, and which brings in fish and things like that. The moon though we just had, which was it the sturgeon moon?
The sturgeon moon, yeah.
I'm not a fan of moons. I don't like new moons or full moons, and everyone has their own opinion on them, but I think it makes a shorter window of when the fish are actively feeding. But other than that, it's been okay, and we'll just see how it goes from there. And also the tuna, I know everyone knows that the closure happened yesterday, August 12th, so no more keeping the rec size tuna, but there is still catch and release, which is a little disappointing because I actually didn't even get to make it out there yet this season. I don't know if I'm going to at this point, but you can still catch and release, and maybe if you're lucky, find some mahi you can take home out there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with the stripers. Striper fishing has been awesome, obviously in the normal spots, from block. And on the rough weather days, or the windy days that I've had to fish inshore, the inshore fishing's been really good. I had a good school of them from like the Charleston Breachway to Weekapaug, which was loaded with sand eels and a bunch of squid. We had stripers, blues, sea bass, fluke, bonito, all in the same area, and that made for a few good days of fishing. So there's, we have those roaming around, and I ran into a good school of pogies actually on the east end and out by the Hooter, and there was some really, really nice bass on them. And and they were all over them. And obviously, with the moon definitely changed the fishing a lot. I noticed they're a lot shallower on the higher tides. They're able to get in spots where they usually can't, so they've been utilizing that really, really well. And you know, the fluke fishing, same thing. They've moved in a lot shallower, and then on that outgoing on the lower tides, they've been moving out deeper to about 80-90 feet, and we've been getting them really good on the diamond jigs when they move out deeper. And yeah, it's been really good. And obviously, like she said, you know, the tuna closed, so you know, there's not much to say about that except for the giants. I've been doing pretty good with the giants the past few weeks. A lot bigger fish have showed up to 113 inches. We got a nice one the other day, or when was it, last week? And yeah, they've been biting pretty good at night as well with the squid. Ton of squid moved in with this new moon, which is gonna lead to an awesome month of fishing. So it's gonna be a good rest of the month and an awesome fall, because those squid aren't going anywhere, and it's gonna remain really good.
Yeah, so. And the tog bite should probably start to pick up pretty soon too.
Absolutely.
You know, excited for that. So we'll see how it goes.
Heading over into Connecticut, story is very similar in the eastern half of Connecticut. We got good striped bass fishing. Fisher's Island's good. The race has been very good. There's fish on a lot of the reefs like Bartlett's and Hatchets and all that stuff along the sort of eastern half of the Connecticut shoreline. Surf guys have been getting in on the action here and there, especially on some of those prominent points with those strong rips. But sharks are also a problem there. Talked to Mike Roy. He said basically every spot that he stops, he's having to deal with sharks within 15 to 30 minutes of starting to catch fish. So, you know, it's an issue right now. And, you know, having a striped bass sharked, you know, bitten in half has become kind of a rite of passage for a lot of, especially for surf fishermen, kayak fishermen, and you know, I don't like it. I don't like what I'm seeing out there. It's an issue. Other species that have been biting well, leading the way by far is porgies. The porgy bite has just been incredible. Guys are absolutely slamming them, whether they're fishing from shore, kayak, boat, paddleboard, you know, wash tub, it doesn't matter. These fish are anywhere from 5 feet of water to 50 feet of water, and the bite has been voracious. They'll eat pretty much whatever you want, whether you want to get them on little jigs, you know, fishing with artificials in an ultralight rod, or you want to fish gulp or fish bites, or you want to go old school and fish, you know, clam tongues and squid strips. You're going to get these fish. It doesn't matter how you do it. Central part of the Sound has been seeing a little bit more of a movement of bigger bluefish, which is great to see right before the WICC tournament, which kicks off on August 23rd and 24th. So we got about a little over 2 weeks, or a little over a week, I should say, before that kicks into gear. So if you haven't signed up yet, definitely want to head over there and sign up. Another thing that you need to know about the WICC is that the race is now in play for the first time in the tournament's history, which you know, should change things. It should make things even more interesting. So head over to the WICC Greatest Bluefish Tournament on Earth website, and you can sign up there. Central Sound, again, been one of the better spots for bluefish. Some of those bigger blues have been favoring the New York side, so you may have to cross borders to get into some of these bigger fish. Striped bass action in that area has been good. All sizes seem to be represented, from keeper size fish all the way up to 40-pound fish. And the bottom fishing for multiple species has been good, but again, the porgies are just crushing it out there. And then out in the Western Sound, I have not heard a ton this week, but I'm sure Max is going to have a lot for us in the field correspondent videos, so why don't we just jump over to that right now. Let's check in now with our Connecticut field correspondents.
Hey everybody, for this week's fish report, striper fishing remains red hot. We're really focused on those big trophy size stripers. A lot of big fish around right now. It should be good for the next couple weeks. We have a couple openings next week, next Tuesday and Thursday. So if you're interested in that, jump on and book a trip. Also, we're starting to see a little bit of topwater. We caught some schoolie sized fish and some slot sized fish on small topwater plugs. Few blues around as well. So only a couple weeks before we get to September and the beginning of the fall run, which is going to be dynamite. Still a lot of sharks around, a lot of brown sharks all over Eastern Long Island Sound right now. You should be able to probably see one. You might have one go after your bait as well. We even saw one chase one of our top waters recently. So that's all I have for you.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Blackhole Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. A really nice uptick in good striper locally, bigger fish. It's been really cool to see. I don't know if it's Western Sound fish moving closer to the Central and Eastern Sound or what, but a bunch of us have found some nice stripers locally. There's also been some really good schools of, schoolie to slot size fish around. I ran into 3 separate schools the other day when I was kind of heading out and in the dark, and it was cool. They were everywhere. Gone when the sun was up, but nice to see those guys around. Hopefully that bodes well for a good fall run. We've also seen, speaking of that, a lot of bait, a lot of good bait locally, a lot of peanuts starting to show up. So kind of that fuel for the fall run fire that we want to see kind of flooding out into the Maine Sound in the next month or two. It seems like it's present. So also some good bluefish around. Guys have been getting those. Bodes well for the big bluefish tournament coming up. Fluke, I've heard really up and down reports. Some guys are doing really well. Some guys are saying that the bite dissipated a little bit. So I'm still recommending like 40, 50, 60 feet. Try to shrink your drifts when you're getting good bites. Salmon red has been really good. Blue fuse has been good for gulp colors. So always an option there. Other than that, the porgy bite has been really good. And the sea bass bite, still spotty, still like it's been all summer. Still keeping an eye out. This is that time of year where we could see some, some interesting pelagics come through. Bonito maybe. We're hoping for another, late run of bonito that here in the Sound. That would be cool to kind of kick off those kind of like hardtail season stuff. Haven't heard anything confirmed locally yet, but we have heard some, over towards Mass and Rhode Island and stuff. So we'll see if they show up. But other than that, the big news is the big uptick in really good striper. So grab some eels, grab some big topwaters, grab some gravity tackle GT eels, some tubes, anything like that. Get on out there and try to get some fish.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with your local fishing report. This past week we had the full moon, the tides got bigger, and we saw some better diamond jigging towards sunset on our deeper water reefs like 11B in Middle Ground. 28C still holding some striped bass and bluefish. Your best bet is definitely to be there in the early morning hours and then the dusk. So the bass during the day is really slow this time of year. The water temps are the warmest. They're in deep water during the day. So if you do want to try to target some stripers during the daytime, anchoring up on our deep water reefs, chunking fresh bunker, or drifting live eels are going to be your best bet. Most of the action this past week we have heard came from Middle Ground off Stratford and Milford. We heard of a great striped bass bite in the early morning hours, tapering off after 7:30, and then I would say at sunset too, they turned right back on. All around there's been butterfish, mackerel, and bunker present. The bunker this year, we're not seeing a lot of adults in the Sound. They're mostly, I would say mid-size. That's what we're, having stock this time of year. It's so hard to find adult bunker, but if you can get out there, chunk some bunker, you could definitely find some bluefish and some stripers. And on these moon tides, we've heard of a lot more bluefish starting to mix in. So hopefully they're more and more moving towards the end of the month for the bluefish tournament. The fluking side is very slow. You definitely got to bounce around. Shallow, deeper water reefs. This time of year you can hit our beaches. You can hit the deep water with a lot of bait around. Peanut bunker invaded the Western Sound. We're seeing like 2 to 4 inch range in all our estuaries, our harbors. So that is really good. So fluking, you definitely bounce around. I would say definitely using bait this time of year. If you can find the snappers, they're biting very well in our estuaries and harbors. We're hearing a lot more and more off our pier calf pastures. So they're in the I would say 4 to 5 inch range. Drifting those live are very good, and they striped bass will also take snapper bait also. Sea bass, deep water still, definitely 60, 80, 100 foot wrecks. Guys with spot lock, get on top of them. Bait, high-low rigs, butterfly jigs, they all crush sea bass. If you don't have a spot lock, drifting over these wrecks are just as productive. Porgies, that is the name of the game this time of year. Porgies and snappers. Porgies are all over our beaches, shallow water reefs, deep water reefs, oyster beds, you name it. So clams, sandworms, bloodworms, squid are all great baits. They'll even take small gulps on smaller jig heads and bucktails, but it's a lot of fun this time of year for kids, family. You got there, snapper fish and porgy fish. You know, with the bluefin regs this past week on the offshore bite, they shut it down Tuesday, but it's okay. The yellowfin are moving in more and more. I would say south of the Suffolk, the shipping lanes has had some yellowfin action. We should see them move in. I saw Eddie, it looks like it's starting to come in more. That should bring some yellowfin closer and closer. You can still get out and catch and release on the bluefin, so that's always fun. I feel like a lot of anglers this time, you know, right now with all the technology and the spinning reels and the rods, a lot of guys are out there catching and releasing anyway, so it's still get out there, have fun. You can still shark fish for threshers are biting this time of year. They come closer to fishers, Cartwright, the frisbees. You know, you can still get out and do tons of different offshore fishing. The canyon bite also, when you have those weather windows, the big yellowfin this time of year, we've seen yellowfin over 100 pounds, big eyes in the mix. You know, this time of year we start seeing wahoo, you got longfish, skipjack tuna. You know, this is a great time of year to be fishing. Moving in September, it's only going to get better. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. I mean, just the fact alone that albies have started to show up should be cheering up some of you sad tuna fishermen that have seen your season close sooner than you thought it should. Striped bass fishing is good and getting better, and we are sort of heading headlong into the fall run here. We're only a few weeks away from things really starting to kick in full bore. If you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. We cover every angling discipline you can think of, and we cover freshwater and saltwater. And we cover every species that swims in any one of those waters. It's going to cost you $31.95 for a year. You're going to get 12 paper editions, magazines sent to your house. In your mailbox, you're also going to get 26 digital editions sent to your email. And you're going to get digital access to all the back issues, plus our other 2 editions, of which we have 3 total. So you're going to get all the fishing news from Delaware all the way to Maine. You're going to get articles, you're going to get reports, you're going to get videos. You're going to be blown away. So head over to our website at thefisherman.com and sign up today. If you're not interested, you know, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.